Hey guys, welcome to our next episode every Thursday live with John Lees here on LinkedIn. Hope you guys are having an awesome week. I hope you've had a great week and hope you're looking forward to today's show. Guys, please let me know if there are any problems with the audio, visuals, or anything like that. Throw it in the comments. Really appreciate you guys joining us live on LinkedIn every week. Also broadcasting to my YouTube channel and my Facebook page as well. Very, very appreciative of everyone who jumps on live and checks out the show with John and I. It's a real pleasure to bring it to you. We are now up to episode 8. So we're already round to episode 8. Now, this episode 8 is also part of a 2-part series, by the way. So part 1 today is going to be solely focused around the focused thoughts and actions of high achievers in business. So probably never a more important time again to be making sure that we're achieving what we want to set out in business, and you're only going to do that by the actions that we take. So there'd be some value in this for everyone. As always, I'm going to bring John straight into the broadcast. If you guys do see me looking over to the right here, I am getting in amongst the comments with you guys. So if wherever you're watching from, please leave a comment. John and I would love to know where you're tuning in from. Give us a thumbs up. And if you can't find us on LinkedIn, then obviously over on the YouTube channel, Facebook page, leave a comment, guys. If you've got any questions, please make sure that you fire them into us. Super, super important. We can answer them for you at the end of the show or during the show. I always try and get on to John a couple of times during the show and answer any of those questions as we go, even ones where I think of them myself, because as you guys learn, I learn. So I'm going to bring John into the broadcast, so just bear with me for a second as I swap the screen over. And John, thank you for joining us again from California this week. How's your week been? How are you this evening over there?
It's been a pretty average sort of a week, really. It started when I rang my doctor and told him that I had diarrhea, and he put me on hold. So that wasn't a good start to the week. But other than that, everything's fine. Thank you.
So you had the runs essentially. You were running around doing things during the week. Very good. Hey, so John, this week's episode is going to be around the focus and actions of high achievers in business. And if there's one thing I've learned from the last 8 weeks running this show with you, is everything is related to actions that you take and having follow through and follow up on those actions that you do take with your customers, internally with your own team. I'm guessing this is going to expand on that further.
Yeah, the seminar today, which will only be brief, 20 minutes, half an hour or something at the most, is based on a book that I wrote, based on consulting work that I was doing around Australia, called The Focus, Thoughts and Actions of High Achievers in Business. So yes. What you'll see today are just snippets from this book. If you would like a copy of this book, we can send it to you. There's no charge. If you're going to tune in, take the trouble to tune into these sessions, we'd be happy to let you have a copy of this particular book. And there are other books as well that you can have. I'll talk about those later. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about the focus, thoughts, and actions of high achievers in business, because the focus of people in business is absolutely critical, and everything is detonated from that point on. Because you've got the wrong focus, as I'll describe in a moment, then you could be in real trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. And guys, just
Nobody
really quick
one. Nobody will tell you that you've got the wrong focus. None of the customers will, because almost everybody has a weak focus. They don't mean to, but their focus is usually on us and who we are and what we do and all that kind of thing, which is of interest to nobody.
Yep. And just picking up, John mentioned there, by the way, over the last 8 weeks, John's been sending anyone who requests a copy of any of his 13 books. So John's an author of 13 books on sales, business development, marketing, customer service, you name it. John's been actually giving them away. And I know you used to sell these books, John, and I've said it before. But if you do, guys, if you do want a copy, as the show goes on, I will put some links that'll go across the bottom of the screen there. You can request any of these books from John. What I do suggest you do is you email him and ask him for the PDF version of all the book titles. And then you can choose which one you think might be relevant for you. So don't forget that. I'll make sure as the show goes on, I'll put some links that'll go across the bottom of the screen where you guys can jot down John's email address and you can reach out. And then don't forget also, obviously this show is for free and it's for you guys. but John can also help your business along the way. So please feel free to reach out on any of those things as we go. John, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'll stay on screen for a little bit. And remember, guys, if you see me looking this way, I'm just engaging you guys in on the comments, checking the feed's working properly. And I'll hand it over to you, John.
Thank you. And Simon, again, thanks for making this happen. It's never happened to me before that someone like yourself has organized these kind of sessions for the benefit of people who consider themselves to be students of business. I'm a student of business. I'm not a teacher of business, and I've always enjoyed business. And so I hope you enjoyed this particular session. I want to start, if I may, with a brief story that puts into context the way people think. So this story features two well-known characters, Sherlock Holmes and his trusted companion, who, as you may recall, was Dr. Watson. And they had some pretty heavy cases that they had been working on, and very demanding cases. And so they decided to take a break and have a weekend camping weekend. And so they were enjoying themselves. And on the first night on their trip, Sherlock Holmes turned to Dr. Watson and he said, "Dr. Watson, when you look into the night sky, what do you see?" And Watson said, well, Holmes, what I see when I look into the night sky is thousands of galaxies and millions of stars and planets. I'm also reminded as I look into the sky that God is magnificent and we are insignificant. And the third point is that it looks like tomorrow is going to be a jolly fine day. Tell me, Sherlock, what do you see when you look into the night sky? And Sherlock Holmes said, "Elementary, my dear Watson. Someone has stolen our tent." So don't complicate things. Make things as simple as they possibly can. And that particular story, that particular joke just reminds us not to make things too complicated, okay? Because it's a pretty, not saying simple to do, but simple to understand. So let's get started. And I'm going to show you, first of all, a visual. And this is the beginning of the process. I hope you can see this. So here's management. And you may well be involved in management, or maybe you're going to be at some point. And the main concern of management, because they've got salespeople to think about, service teams to think about, they've got backroom teams to at least relate to, IT, you name it, all sorts of accounting people and so forth and so on. And of course, they've got to be concerned about the results. And you say, well, why are the results the last thing? You know, that's the most important thing. No, you sell results. If you don't sell results to the marketplace, then you're not going to get results. It's about as simple as that. Don't blame me. I didn't make the rules. So management's here. And the primary concern of management is the market, to understand the market. And it's not a piece of cake. You don't look once and see what's going on in the market. You study the market. And I don't mean all day, every day. You understand by talking to customers. Bring them in, talk to them, let them enjoy each other's company, just a half a dozen of them, do it on a regular basis, and talk about when it's your turn, so to speak, because they will tell you about their problems and their aspirations. They can also tell you about the best kind of salespeople they've met without revealing knowledge that you don't deserve to have. They will tell you about all manner of things that they've experienced, which is extremely valuable to you. And then, as you begin to talk to them, you will begin to realize that they themselves have this same kind of problems, because maybe they're not focused on their market, etc. No matter whether they're retail or whether they've got sales reps by whatever title, the point is that most of the managers that go to market, most businesses sell products or services. They do not sell success with products or services. There's a big difference between the two. If you sell products or services, the market will not complain, because that's what they're accustomed to. Remember that the market is focused on its own market, not on you. The only time it will turn to you and be interested is if you start to talk to them about opportunities that you know will work because you have studied them. You may remember one of the sessions we did was called the Success Search, which is where you actively look for, in each of the territories, a customer who has, or more than one customer, who has succeeded to a very high level with the product or service that you sell. And then it's very important to be able to understand, how did they do it? Was it simply with our help? Did they do it on their own? Was it a combination of our help and their views and so forth? So the four things that we've mentioned before are, number one is, what kind of result are they getting? Because we must understand that. Number two is, what was their motivation? Why did they get involved in this? Why did they take it more seriously than other people do? Because, you know, for instance, with most companies, they buy products and then just hope that they become successful in terms of use or resale or whatever the case may be. The third point, so first point is the result, which is what the market's interested in. Number two is the motivation. Why did you do it? Number three is the strategy, or the list of strategies used to achieve the result, because it never happens by accident. And number four, the continuous lessons they learn from going through this process. Now, once you've started to do that, and it happened to me by accident, as I mentioned in one of the sessions, is that I found out one of our customers, I was the marketing and sales director for Schwarzkopf at the time, one of our customers was having unbelievable success with just one of our products, and it had nothing to do with us at all. We were simply supplying product, and they were using the product as part of their service in a very unique way. So I began to unravel it. I went to the salon to find out what they were doing. It was quite remarkable. And then I packaged the whole thing up with their permission, not to tell anyone down the street from them, but to be able to tell other salons around Australia and New Zealand, etc., how they could achieve levels of success as this salon did in Sydney. And you're not going to find people will replicate that success, but quite often they'll be motivated to do better than they've been doing. So the one thing that we have to remember is study the market, understand who's doing well, who's not doing well. The market, of course, is based on a pyramid effect, as we have discussed before. So you'll have the top performing customers up here, not necessarily the biggest. There'll be small, medium, and large. Then you'll have the medium-sized businesses and the small-type businesses down here. And these people produce the best results no matter what size they are. And you're either studying these people or you're not. Okay, you might study your product and know about your product. Nobody cares about your product. I don't mean they're against it. The only product they care about is their own product, which is their business. So management must focus on the market, must understand the market, the language of the market, the requirements of the market, the needs of the market, the normal expectations of the market when it comes to suppliers and so forth. When management begins to understand this and continues to add to its knowledge, then it can feed its sales team with excellent ideas, training, knowledge, and so forth. And also it can judge the salespeople on their behavior within the marketplace, which is absolutely vital, which means going out with them, testing them and finding out what they know and what they don't know. And then you've got backroom teams, and so therefore management and the sales team must learn, even if the manager isn't the manager of the backroom teams, you must learn to have respect for your colleagues and so forth. And then if we learn how to understand the market, help the market, lead the market, which is very important. That's what happened at Schwarzkopf, by the way. It wasn't done on purpose to start with. It was based on observations of the needs of the marketplace, not just the wants of the market, which is for product or service, but the needs of the market, which was for success, progress. That's what the market needs. Okay, and as we sold progress here, then we began to enlarge our results. So this particular book, which, as we mentioned, is free of charge to any of you. No catches involved. It's entirely up to you. I'd like you to have a copy of it. You can contact me anytime. My email address is, it's on the screen there now. And there's 13 books available altogether. But this particular book is what I'm talking about today. And so let's have a look now at just part, because as Simon said, it's in two parts, this session. Next week's session will go into more detail. So, the focus of most companies is indulgence. First two letters give the game away. Internal. It's our internal situation. What is our target? What are our goals? Where are we up to? Are we achieving? Nothing wrong with any of those things. You've got to know if you're achieving. You should know what your targets are. You should know what the targets of your salespeople are, and so, as I'm sure you do, etc., etc. But that's an internal requirement. The most successful managers deal in excellence, the first two letters of which relate to the external market, the external world, which, as I said a moment or two ago, we've got to learn more about. So let's take, for instance, the subject of sales goals. As I said, I'm sure you have your goals. In one company I worked with, they just simply divided the sales up, sales expectations up into, if they had 6 reps or something, they're divided by 6, which is wrong, of course. The idea is to set goals according to current contribution rates, current contribution percentage rates, and so forth. Very important. You just got someone that just started with you. They're not going to be contributing as much as someone who's been with you maybe 2-3 years and really doing extremely well, versus someone who's average, someone who's struggling, and all that kind of thing. So get your sales goals worked out, okay? But more importantly, understand where is sales potential. And the only way you're going to find out about sales potential is to get feedback on customers who have succeeded with your product, with your help, without your help, on their own, whatever the case may be. Find out what they're doing, why they did it. Learn those 4 things I talked about, okay? Result, motivation, strategy, and the lessons that they got out of it, okay? That's the only basis for you to be able to remind the sales force there's a huge amount of potential in the market. The word potential is built on the word potent, meaning latent power waiting to be released. So apart from having knowledge of goals, week by week, month by month, etc., understand the potential. Okay, absolutely vital. This is normal in sports. If you're teaching kids how to play, say, basketball, then, Michael Jordan is perhaps a good example of what they should be aiming for, whether they ever even get close or not. The point is they know how high is up. So should we. Next point. Are you selling products or services? You may have either one, professional services or products, or are you selling proven success with products or services? There's a huge difference between the two. Okay, the whole market knows that all of the suppliers have products or services, and there's a constant queue, a lineup of suppliers, distributors, whatever you want to call them, vendors, who have got products and services that they want to tell you about, but they won't tell you about opportunities and potential and so forth, because they are not studying it. Management isn't studying it, so you can bet your life the salespeople don't know about it. Absolutely vital that we understand that we sell proven success. And success is broken down into the 4 areas that I mentioned before. Very important that we understand that when we go to see prospects and customers, that we acknowledge that they have got good relationships with current suppliers, and that we're not there to disturb their relationships. We're there to talk to them about opportunities for improved results, the details of which you can show and go over and so forth. So the moment you acknowledge their current situation and then start looking at better results, they're more likely to listen than if you just simply start talking, and they will interpret what you're talking about as an attack on the status quo. Okay? They're not interested in changing what they do. They're only interested in improving what they do. Very, very important. So sell proven success with products or services. If you want help with that, it's not a piece of cake, and it's not overly complicated either. If you want help with that, you can contact me at any time, and I'll go through the process with you in relation to your company, your products, your services, your type of market, and so forth. Whether you're in Australia, New Zealand, America, doesn't matter. I'm more than happy to help you. Okay, next, the message to the sales force: try to sell more, which is normal, okay, as per their sales targets and so forth. But there's a more simple way of doing it. And that is to use an idea called Focus 10 or Focus 5. And the idea is, and I've got a copy of this here, which I can email to you. There it is, Focus 5. I introduced this at Schwarzkopf many years ago. And the idea is that the sales representative is asked, name 5 prospects or customers, or a mixture of customers and prospects, Name them down here. You can have focus 10 if you wish, or 5. Okay. What objectives and strategies are you going to use to help these people? What specific actions will you take, and what results were achieved? Now, if a sales representative has, let's say, 100 customers, he or she can't go through this with 100 customers. What they can do is go through it with 5 or 10 customers, okay, while giving ongoing good service to established customers, but using this to make sure that they're always looking and being responsible and accountable for achieving much better results. And as you go through each month, you can talk to the salespeople and find out where are they at, because you will have a copy of this, they'll have a copy of it, and it will become absolutely obvious to them that you are serious about helping the market, not just simply try to sell more, but you are helping them to be more helpful and more valuable in the marketplace. And if you have incentive schemes, then that kind of attitude will help them enormously. So this Focus 5 worked extremely well at Schwarzkopf, and I used it also as Focus 10 as well, including customers, also prospects, or just prospects as you see fit. Okay. Next, here's a key factor in most organizations. We must retain customers. Customer retention is absolutely vital, which is obvious when you think about it. However, how do we retain customers? What are we supposed to do? Put handcuffs on them? I mean, the point is that they are individual organizations, okay? And if we're going to retain them, then we must develop them. Okay, that's the internal promise of a company, is that we will continue to develop our customers through Focus 5 and other means in order to make absolutely sure that we deserve their business. You can't simply win business and then leave it alone and go someplace else, okay? Because then you'll be under attack, and also you will become questionable to the customers. They will want to know, what are you going to do to help us and so forth. Not do our job for us, but help us and so forth. So don't worry about customer retention, worry about customer development. Because if you develop customers, you will deserve to keep them. Next, sales training. Very important, but business training for salespeople is even more important. They work usually in a business world, so they must understand the needs of business people, because that's who they are. We can call them customers, we can call them prospects. You can call them anything you like, but they are business people. They're in a business, they're running a business. They work inside the business, they're a manager in the business, whatever the case may be. And what we've got to do with our salespeople is get them to understand the needs of the market, the language of the market, because the language of the market is likely to be completely different to ours. So I mentioned earlier, meet with 5 or 6 customers, say every month. Make it informal, just a couple of hours. Brief them beforehand as to what you want to talk about so they can be prepared. And then invite maybe one of your reps along, salespeople along, and then they can talk to the rest of the salespeople about what they learned. And we can also do that by changing the reps each time. The idea is to gradually help them to go to the market, not only to see and work with business people, but also to become business people themselves. Yes, Simon.
John, I just thought I'd jump in again and remind everyone, and we don't have to retell this now, but in episode, I think it was episode 5 or 6, so I'll find out and I'll drop it in the comment, but exactly the point you're talking about now, John, is what we covered in episode 5 and 6, where you spoke about a salon in Canada where you went in to not just help them in fact, let me get this right. You didn't just try and sell them a product. You went in to help them improve their business. And you did that by understanding the business that they're in and how they actually generated income and revenue themselves. So episode 5.
Let me relate that story. Because Schwarzkopf in Australia and New Zealand achieved better results than Schwarzkopf in the other 35, 36 countries that they operated in. And I didn't know, I had no idea that we had, but Mr. Schwarzkopf, very nice gentleman, Hans Peter Schwarzkopf, came to us and said, this this company here in Australia and New Zealand is the #1 company we have. We actually sold more product than the German company, and I'm sure you can imagine how big the German the German population was compared to ours. So eventually I was asked to be a global consultant to the company, working in America, Canada, South Africa, the UK, Western Europe, etc.
Yep.
Which was very enjoyable. And my assignment was tell them what you are doing, what you have been doing in Australia and New Zealand, and try to help them to see the reasons, the benefits for working in that way. Because essentially what we were doing in a nutshell, not only did we have good products and services, as did our competitors, great companies like L'Oreal and Weller and Goldwell, great companies. They had products too. They had good service, I assume. But the market didn't simply need product. They could buy product anywhere. So, for instance, if they were buying from Schwarzkopf and Schwarzkopf closed, they would say, oh, that's awful. And then they just turn to another supplier. So they had no products, no problem buying products. What they needed, we found, because we had a board of customers, and so we met regularly with customers, we found out that they had a need to improve the way they did business. That's what they needed. And so that's how I started getting involved in business development ideas and so forth over the years, not instantly, and so forth. And so we created, as I showed in one of our sessions, an endless stream of practical ideas that could be used in a salon when they were meeting clients, when they were training their staff, when they as managers were looking to be better leaders and so forth and so on. And so when I was in Canada, I had been talking to the Canadian Schwarzkopf team, run by Mr. Schwarzkopf's brother, and I went through it with them. And to be honest, I could see that they weren't overly interested in what I was talking about. I think they were comfortable. That's probably the word to use. They were comfortable doing what they were doing, which is fine. And I had no responsibility for anything other than telling them about what we had done. And then as I was leaving, I said, is it possible to go and see one of the leading salons in Toronto? Because when I get home to Australia and New Zealand, they're all going to ask me, what sort of salons did you see? And I already had photographs and knowledge of salons in America and South Africa and Britain and so forth. So they said, oh, well, we have a very good salon in Toronto called Michael Clutha. And he would be one of the leading salons, got about 60 staff, 3 floors, very, very impressive business. And so they asked me, I said to them, I'd like to go there. And they offered to help me to get there. They had a guy working for them as a technical advisor or something, guy who wore a wig, unbelievably working for a haircare company. But anyway, so we get there. And he said to me, by the way, John, don't forget that this salon only buys from L'Oreal, okay? They don't do any business with anybody else, including us. If you can get us in there, if you can get us a foot in there, boy, it would mean a lot to us. I said, well, that's not why I'm here. I'm here just simply to talk to them and find out about the salon, maybe take a couple of photographs, and that's it. He said, well, I'm just saying to you. I said, anyway, don't worry about it. We'll see what happens. So we get in there. I find the manageress of the salon, very nice lady. And she came to meet me. I could see immediately that she was a little concerned that maybe I was going to try and sell her something, products and what have you, because I was with Schwarzkopf. And she asked me about my role. And I said to her, I used to manage the sales and marketing operations in Australia and New Zealand, but now I was a consultant helping salons. And at that point, she stopped and said, what do you mean helping salons? And then I told her, we have a variety of services that we provide to salons that help them to develop their business. And we're not doing it to be smart. We're doing it so that we can be closer to them and more valuable to them. She said, oh, okay. Do you have any of those items with you? And I said, yeah, I've got some of them, but most of them are in the hotel. She said, oh, can I have a look at them? So I said, sure. So we went into this small room. The technical advisor said that he was going to go and park his car, and he winked at me as he went out, like, go on, see what you can do. So I went, and I then started showing her some of the ideas, and she was intrigued and impressed by the ideas, because no matter how good a business is, they're looking for ideas. Products cost money, ideas make money. That's the general rule. And she also said to me that I don't want to put you under a lot of strain, but is it possible to see some of the other ideas that you have at the hotel? I said, yes, of course, I'll come back if you wish. Oh, that'd be great, thank you. I'll send a cab to come and get you and all that kind of thing. And then the technical advisor walked back in and he said, I'm sorry, I'm a bit delayed. It's very busy down there. And she said, tell me, what products do I have to buy from Schwarzkopf in order to have access to these ideas here? And he sort of looked at me like I was a genius or something. I wasn't a genius. I honestly don't believe I am a genius. I believe I'm at a higher level, but that's not important. Let's not talk about that. But seriously, I simply told her about opportunities for her business. She loved it. That's what she's there for. That's what she wants. That's what she's held accountable for. And she absolutely loved it. And that reminded me, and it's in one of my books, which is called, and I've mentioned it before, and this book is also available, Sell Pleasure First, Price Less.
Yeah, and it's so pivotal to the point that you were making in your presentation today, John. That's why I wanted just to mention it again, because it's such a that story about Canada is a very, very relevant one to the topic that you're on today.
Yeah, and the same thing happened in New Zealand. I was doing a seminar in New Zealand for customers over there, and I went through an idea that we have called what's it called? Preview. I can't remember the name of it now. So I showed her the idea, and this was an idea where you could, every quarter, the management could talk to their staff individually to find out, where they were at, what their thoughts were, where they needed help, what they were doing well, what they needed to do better. Nothing negative about it at all. And I've still got that you can have a copy of, by the way. And at the end of the seminar, this lady came up. She ran a very successful salon, only did business with L'Oreal. And she said to our sales manager, which products do I have to buy to get these ideas? So you see, it's one thing to sell products and services. It's another thing to sell success to customers. That's what they're interested in. Okay, that's what they care. That's what they're held accountable and responsible for. That's what they lose sleep over. Okay, very important. So to continue, we're near the end now. So as I was saying, let's organize to do business training for salespeople. It involves all the sales-related things, but it involves things that matter to most of the customers. And next week's session is all about how do you do that. And then finally, I hope you can see this, trying to win new customers. Okay, well, that's a normal thing for any company to worry about. But, what I found out is that we couldn't leave that up to our salespeople. Not only were they busy, but they were unable to sell the idea of coming to our company on their own. So we involved ourselves in what I called bombardment marketing. The reason I called it that is that in a war zone, the fighter pilots go in first, heavy artillery and tanks, all the way back to the soldiers and so forth. And we had to play the same game and not have expectations of our sales force that were beyond what they could contribute. I might add, by the way, that the seminars we ran, and we invited people to come to the seminars that were not customers of ours. These were salon owners, okay? And we did maybe 10 or 15 minute ad somewhere inside the thing about anything new that we were doing that they deserved to know about. But all of the seminar was about the ideas that we had that they could get access to if they decided to do business with us. And at the end of the meeting, they would then go to our reps and say to our reps, when can I talk to you about this in more detail? So that sparked everything off for the reps and for our company. So I highly recommend, I know most companies won't do it or can't do it, whatever the excuse is, but Bombardment Marketing is a seminar where our reps attended, the reps in the given area at least anyway, or rep, whatever, and the customers, or the prospects, I should say, who I imagine thought we were going to talk about products. That's the first thing I would say at the beginning of the session. We have products, L'Oreal has products, Wella has products, all of our companies, all of these companies have products. I'm not here to talk about products. We'll let you know if we've got anything new happening, but we're not here to talk about products. We're here to talk about your product, which is your salon. Okay, and we have ideas which I think you'll find helpful. So let's get started. And then one idea after another came up, and there they were making notes. And they were promised that if you decide that you want to do business with Schwarzkopf, you will immediately become eligible for these ideas. Some of them will cost you money, but a minimum amount of money, because we don't make any profit out of these items. But most of the ideas are free of charge to Schwarzkopf customers. That had an enormous impact on our business, and an enormous impact on our reps too, because they were sitting in the audience listening and realizing what mattered most to the customers. Okay, so those are the main things that I wanted to talk about today. Anytime you want to talk about them, we can talk on WhatsApp, FaceTime, or whatever, and I can go through some of the ideas with you, or I can link up with you on Skype or Zoom or whatever, and we can talk about it. If you would like me to run a seminar for your salespeople, your managers, again, I'm more than happy to do that. Let me just quickly go through some of these books, which I've already mentioned some of them. Sell Pleasure First, Price Last. You know, the whole idea of people, when they go to buy a book, what do they go for? The front cover or the back cover? They are interested in the front cover, the opportunity for them to benefit. Okay, so we have to learn to do the same thing. Don't go into all the detail, okay, because they're only interested in, is this book, is this title, is this going to be of help and interest to me?
And John, you've got a little technique that you used to use, and I fear every time we get on the phone, you do the same to me, where you used to set your watch for 2 minutes. And anyone who was trying to sell you something, you gave them a couple of minutes, and then if they didn't get their story out within those couple of minutes, you gave them the privilege of a few more minutes, but not many more.
Yeah, well, I don't know about anybody else watching, but you know, when I was, you know, a manager at Schwarzkopf, and I had reps calling me up. On the one hand, I didn't want to see them because I'd heard all the stories. On the other hand, maybe there's a better mousetrap out there. So I would invite them to come in and see me. I would treat them very nicely, warm greeting, a genuine warm greeting. And then I would, as you said, I had my watch set. It was actually 5 minutes into the meeting. And I would say, go ahead. And they would start. And off they went. In 95% of cases, they'd go off on a tangent, just trying to sell me their products or services. I already had access to them, boring the pants off me. And then my watch alarm would go off. And they would be, well, sorry, what was that? And then I would say to them, I'm sorry, I said I had forgotten, but I've got a meeting I've got to go to, but they can wait for at least 2 minutes. Is there any way that you could narrow this down for me at this moment in time? And 90% of cases they couldn't. But if they could, then fine, I'm listening. But other than that, the watch saved me. Okay, saved me having to listen and waste time talking about someone else's product when I was only interested in our products. Here's the other book. First book I wrote, The Move from Order Taker to Sales Maker. And this book is all about how to make the kind of approach that we've been talking about here. This would be a good book to give your salespeople, and you can do it on PDF form. You can just spread it to all of your salespeople once you've received it from me. And order takers, very nice people, but they're reactive, okay? They only do what the market asks them to do, if anything. Sales makers are proactive. They'll not only help you with what you ask for, they will also introduce you to ideas and opportunities that otherwise you wouldn't have known about. Another book related to that one, How Sales Makers Win New Customers. How do you go about doing that? How do you go about converting a prospect into a customer? This book is what it's all about. Again, you can have a copy of it for yourself and you can spread it around to your sales staff. Successful Sales Management, which is for managers, obviously. Okay, very simple book containing about 45 strategies for managers to use with their salespeople. Again, that's free of charge. The Ultimate Marketing Challenge to create and sell the third result. First result is what the market expects, so they're not going to buy because they've already got it. The second result is the same as they get now, but maybe at a slightly lower price or more convenience. And the third result is a much better opportunity for them to make money, to be successful in their marketplace and so forth. That's what that book is all about. And then finally, Serious Sales Development with a Touch of Humor. So this goes through all sorts of things. And one of the sessions we're going to run soon is from this book. So I'm going to finish, if I may.
Yep.
Thanks again to Simon. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you want any of the items I've mentioned, not only the books, but Focus 5, I can send you that and talk with you about it, etc. And now I just wanted to finish with a quick story. So we're in very difficult times at the moment, very difficult times. But, you know, it's not the only time we've had difficult time, but these times are the worst that any of us have been through, I think. In 2008, 2009, in Sydney and Australia generally, and indeed in the world, markets went down. You know, a terrible time. Nobody was buying. Everybody was worried, including me, etc. And I heard a story about a guy who applied for a job at a zoo in Sydney called Taronga Park Zoo. Very nice zoo. And they said, okay, the job that we've advertised is for someone who will wear a gorilla's outfit for us because we can't afford a new gorilla. Okay? But what is a zoo without a gorilla? But we can't afford a new gorilla. So we bought a gorilla's outfit, hoping that that person will wear the outfit and make out like we've still got a gorilla until such time as we can afford a real one. And he said, I'll take the job. They said, are you kidding? He said, no, I'm desperate. I really need the job. They said, okay. So he put on the outfit, hoping no one would recognize his eyes. And he went to his allocated cage and he started to behave as he thought a gorilla would behave. And the kids loved him. They were throwing him bananas and peanuts, and he thought, this is a great job. I'm going to work so hard at this job that when they can afford a real gorilla, they'll keep me because I'm better than a real gorilla. But one day, he put too much enthusiasm into his work. He was on his trapeze inside the cage, and he swung so hard and so high, he eventually flew out of the cage and landed in the lion's pit. Well, you can imagine how he felt, especially when 2 or 3 of the lions started walking towards him. He just couldn't help it. He said, help, help, get me out of here now. And one of the lions said, shut your face or we'll all get fired. Things could be difficult, but we can work our way through it. Simon, again, thank you. And I look forward to hearing from people who are students of business. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And I love that story. Very funny story. And great to end the show on a funny note. Guys, I'm just going to pop this down below again, just as we finish off the show with John. It's the evening over there, Pacific time in the US. So thanks again, John, for every evening, every Thursday coming on. And I just want to thank you guys out there as well for tuning in live. It's look, it's something I'm passionate about doing. I love doing these live shows. And it is for you guys, whether you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, my Facebook page. I hope you all learned something from it. We're now up to episode 8. There's so much value in these, you know, that we can all learn from. I mean, I had the privilege early on of listening to John on cassette tapes, and a mutual friend of ours introduced me to John, and I've seen all the newsletters and all the work that John used to do for his clients, and it really is fantastic. And if there's one thing that I've learned in business, and yeah, okay, we're in the recycling business, but it's all applicable across every single business. You don't have to just be in retail or selling, you know, a consumable product. All of these lessons that John is sharing are still applicable today. So I'm very grateful that I get to spend an hour with John, and you guys as well out there. Join us for this hour. I learn as you guys learn. And don't forget, John is giving you guys free copies of these books. So there's no strings attached to this. It's absolutely free. All you got to do is just email John. And also he's offered to help here as well. Obviously, if you want his help in depth, that's a separate conversation. But if you want one of these books, I've put the stream down below. It's info@johnlees.com.au. I do urge you to get them. You know, you can read them. That you've got time to read books. You know, all the great business leaders read. And there's so much value in these books, and the principles are still very much, doesn't matter if you're trying to sell on social media, all these principles are still the same. At the end of the day, you want to deliver something of high value to your customer, and you need to make it more than just about price. So John, I really appreciate you actually committing to doing this every week, and it's been fantastic. And yeah, we look forward to next week. So John, just to finish off, this was part 1 of a 2-part series for episode 8.
Yeah, and next week we'll go through some other interesting, decisive points that separate companies from their other companies as well.
Yep. So there you go, guys. Join us next Thursday, live every week, 11 a.m. Sydney time, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 2 a.m. London time. So apologies for my friend in the UK, and 9 a.m. Hong Kong time for my friends throughout Southeast Asia. We'll join you for part 2 of the focused thoughts and actions of high achievers in business. In the meantime, we hope you guys stay safe out there. And John, I look forward to catching up with you off air. And we'll see you all next Thursday live with John Lees.